Cast your minds back. It's the late 90s, early 2000s. We are in the middle of a dot-com and home computing revolution. Mice as input devices were becoming more and more popular, with two main variants, the drag it around your desk and the trackball style mouse. Now, over the years, obviously one of these designs has prevailed as the go-to for basically any computer user, but trackball mice are still produced and used by some people. So the question is, just because you can, does it mean that you should? Hello everybody, my name is Robert and this is Review Clue. So yes, today we are going to be looking at this, the Elecom EX G trackball mouse. Now, as I noted in that intro, in today's climate, trackball mice really aren't used that much, and when Elecom offered to send this out to me for free for review, I was sceptical as to if I would enjoy it, whether I'd be able to reprogram my brain to use this thing, and quite frankly, if it was worth the £36 price tag that it has. And let's be honest, it's quite a big learning curve to move from this to this. This kind of change is going to require a complete brain rewire, right? Wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, the first few hours of me using this mouse, I did genuinely find it quite difficult to use. I kept wanting to drag this across my desk like I would any other mouse. But after those couple of hours were up, it really did become second nature to me to be able to move my mouse cursor with my thumb rather than my whole hand. Not only did this become second nature, but I actually did quite enjoy using it. But here's the question, why would you want to rewire your brain just to use a mouse? Well, there are three main reasons you may want to move over to a trackball style mouse. And these are the three that I'm going to cover in this video. There are many, many more, but these are the three big ones. The first two are ergonomics and reduced strain. Due to the nature of a normal mouse, it does produce quite a lot of strain on the wrist and the hands in particular, with many people complaining of carpal tunnel, especially while using them. And if it's not carpal tunnel, it is just a significant discomfort with continuously having to move your whole hand across your desk. Especially if you have a multi-monitor display, you're having to do that a couple of times to get from one side all the way to the other. So Elecom spent a long time getting the ergonomics just right for this mouse, and it really shows. It is incredibly comfortable to hold and use. It has quite a lot of weight to it, but again, that's a good thing. Because what I found myself doing was originally I was trying to push this thing around my desk, but that added weight basically just reminded me that, hey, I'm not meant to be pushing this around my desk. I'm meant to be using my thumb to control this mouse. Looking around the mouse, we do have a couple of user programmable buttons. Next to your left and right button, there is another third button. This one, as of taking it out of the box, was completely unprogrammed. I had to download some software from the Elecom website in order to program this, and more on that a little bit later. We obviously see the scroll wheel, and being able to click that left and right and in, and we have two buttons for page forward and page backward when you're on the web. But obviously the biggest change here is that really big red ball. They do also sell it as a black ball, but the red ball is slightly more accurate, especially when it comes to tracking optically. Now, I'm used to handling balls, but this one did take a little while to get used to. I was finding that actually it didn't spin as much as I'd hoped. There is a little bit of resistance there, which does help. What it does mean though is the more sweeping movements to get from one side of your screen to the other might take a little bit longer than you expect, but it does give you a little bit of added accuracy, which again we'll touch on a little bit later, but it's really important to have the accuracy here. Under that scroll wheel, we also see a DPI slider. There are two DPI modes. One faster, one slower, that's it. You don't get a ton of DPI control here, and it's a shame. I would have liked to have seen more. But being able to just flick it between those two modes for a much broader and more accurate control is really useful. So we've spoken about two of those three main reasons you might want to use a trackball mouse. The third reason is potentially the most important, and that is space saving. When you're on a plane or basically anywhere with a cramped desk, you're finding yourself having to pick it up and move this mouse in such a small space. what's really nice about a trackball mouse, especially this Elecom one, is though it takes up a little bit more space than a normal mouse, you're not having to move your hands around. So it is space saving, especially when you're on an aeroplane on those tiny little plain desks. Now is a great time for me to say, if you aren't subscribed to my channel and are enjoying this content, then please do consider dropping down there, hitting that subscribe button and smashing that bell so you get notified every time I upload. So I've been using this mouse for well over a week now, and what do I actually feel about it? Bar that short learning curve, I genuinely love this mouse for a number of key reasons. The three main reasons that I spoke about at the top there, of it just producing less strain on my arm and hand, but it also being space saving enough that I'm using a lot less space on my desk. So I work on my computer basically all day. I'm a software engineer, it's what I do. So I would stop and end most days with a slight cramp or pain in my hand, but with this mouse that simply wasn't the case, and that is a key advantage to me. That aside, I do still have a few complaints that you will want to keep in mind if you are considering a trackball mouse. Even on its lowest DPI level, I did find that some finite control over the mouse is very difficult to do. For example, if you have two icons next to each other, I found it incredibly difficult to actually be able to move between those two icons. I would try to move it ever so slightly and it would jump halfway across my screen, and I found it really jarring and actually quite difficult to get used to, especially for those smaller movements. This did lead to a rather frustrating user experience, but thankfully over time I did kind of learn this little quirk of the mouse, and it kind of again became second nature for me to expect to see this jump and account for that. So let's talk software. Right now it's only for PC and Mac, there is no Linux client, but once you've downloaded it, it is super simple to use but incredibly powerful as well. You can basically reassign any of the buttons on this mouse. It doesn't have to just be the 3 extra buttons. You could reassign the left and the right click if you really wanted to. You can reprogram with about 50 different actions. That is a lot. There is also a fun gesture mode here, but the gesture mode certainly doesn't work as well as I would have expected, so I would completely avoid it if possible. The customization is strong enough here though that I can probably get this to work in my workflow very easily, and for many people it will fit perfectly into their workflow, be that BIM, programming or anything in between. So would I recommend this mouse? Yes, but only if you're okay with that slight learning curve to change between a normal mouse and this style of mouse. It has many advantages, but it also has a couple of disadvantages. For example, I can't see myself gaming on this. There is simply not enough control here for me to be able to game properly. Anyway guys, what do you think of this trackball mouse? Do you think it's a cool idea, and is it something that you can see yourself using on a day-by-day basis? Let me know in the comment section down below, and of course I will catch you in the next one. Adios! If you made it this far, why not watch more Review Clue content by clicking one of the two videos on your screen right now. Go on, you know you want to. It's a really good video, the one on the left, but so is the one on the right. Which one are you going to choose? Let me know.